Hello everyone and welcome back to Gameweek 2 of the 25-26 Slater and Gordon Championship, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, for Nottingham Forest against Villa Rockets Lions. Let's go through the squads to begin, then I'll talk about how these two fared in their fixtures yesterday. Starting with Nottingham Forest, they have Gary Meakin. Jack Bosanquet isn't present. Toby Maurice, Riley Priestley, Finley Cooper, Ben Rogers and Sam Rogers. And for Villa Rockets Lions, who are looking to top the table with a win here, they have Ellie Brown marking her debut in England this weekend. Travelled over from Northern Ireland. It's fantastic to see her over here. Tanvir Hussain, who's been nothing short of a sensation in the Championship division, another marking their debut in 25-26. He has 9 goals this season. Mason Hindley is not present. Cian Collins, Naglis Montvillas and Sam Turner are, however. They also have Stephen Tyler, who's not on the screen. Dan Ball not available, but this should be a fantastic game. We're referencing Nottingham Forest. Whilst they didn't get any points yesterday in their games against Leeds Dynamos and Nottinghamshire, they were really impressive. 1-0 and 2-0 respectively, those finished. So they've really shored up their defence. It's not a coincidence that that solidity has come with the introduction of Toby Maurice. Today they open against Villa Lions before playing Manchester City and West Bromwich Albion Baggy, so some good opportunities for them to get points. When we're talking about Villa Rockets Lions, they frustratingly so drew to Manchester City yesterday. They would have wanted the 3 points from that one, but they followed that up with a comprehensive 5-0 thrashing of Hull and East Yorkshire. So the teams are ready, the coaches are ready, and we are soon to be underway here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre live, ready to kick off at the same time. Is a great clash towards the top. Nottinghamshire versus Manchester United. Teams just gathering in. So at the half-time break, we are delaying kick-off slightly to ensure that the Remembrance Sunday 2-minute silence can be observed. So that will occur during the half-time interval. But Pete Westmoreland, our central referee, the squads are out and we are ready to go. Naglis Montvillas has been absolutely incredible this season. Was present for 2 of their 5 game weeks in 24-25, and even in that short space of time he made an incredible impact, but committed to the 5 weekends in 25-26. He is right at the top of both the assist and goal scorer chart. He's got 7 goals, just 2 behind Tanvir Hussain, leading joint with Kieran Wade. He also has 6 assists. Just looking, Cian Collins on double digits now for assists. He leads those charts, so there is some real quality in this squad as Ben Rogers gets us underway. To go through the squads in full: Toby Maurice, Ben Rogers, Riley Priestley and Finley Cooper. For Nottingham Forest, Sam Rogers and Gaz Meakin on the bench. Villa Rockets Lions have Ellie Brown, Naglis Montvillas, Cian Collins and Sam Turner, Stephen Tyler and Tanvir Hussain, as Cian Collins just not quick enough getting out the way. Ben Rogers into Finley Cooper, just picks it off over to Riley Priestley, getting some good combinations going. There is definitely some real improvements in Forest. The consistency, the continuity of their squad over the last 2 seasons has allowed them to build this foundation, this platform. They're exchanging a nice triangular football into Riley Priestley. That would have been a fantastic goal. They were pulling Naglis Montvillas from left to right. Ellie Brown had it well covered, so any attempt on goal would have been thwarted, but take nothing away from the effort, the intention of Nottingham Forest. I don't think it would be unfair to say that Villa will be the strong favourites for this game. As Naglis Montvillas, Brad Bates has opted to play him centrally due to some player absences. It's not his preferred position. He's widely considered as one of the best wingers anywhere worldwide, but due to player selection, as Riley Priestley has a sight at goal, Ellie Brown has to drive across to cover. This is brilliant stuff from Nottingham Forest 2 minutes in. But yeah, Naglis Montvillas shows his versatility because he's still a division leading player in the centre. But Finley Cooper now with responsibility of this kick-in. Across the box, blocked by Ellie Brown. She'll be hoping her contributions to Villa Lions in the Championship will put her in contention of the Northern Ireland senior squad, as Keane Collins now has possession. Naglis Montvillas on the edge. That's not good enough from Keane Collins. It doesn't have the accuracy, so it allows Riley Priestley to push it up the court. Needed to be far more central, as it's pushed down into the number 10's path. Very close to Naglis Montvillas there, and on that occasion, just a slight lapse in communication between the pair. Don't think Brad Bates is overly happy with that. It's a needless 2-on-1 to give away. Ben Rogers puts it down this wing. It didn't look like there was any real space or channel for him to aim at, but does manage to bypass Keane Collins. Ellie Brown into Naglis Montvillas. That's a really nice pass into Keane Collins. It ricochets off Ben Rogers, out for a corner ball. Just in a second, they can ensure, if they ensure the accuracy on their passes, they can split any team open. Can Keane Collins make it his 11th assist of the season? Sam Turner on the far side. He's going to get a chance now. Guided goal-bound ricochet between Toby Maurice and Ben Rogers. Good defensive work, but I have to commend the initial delivery from Keane Collins. Absolutely fantastic. You can see why he tops the assist charts. Laser accuracy. Nice little screen and dummy from Naglis Montvillas. Slightly bewildered the Nottingham Forest defence. Tanvir Hussain will be disappointed he's not featuring for the start, having been so prolific, but there's no doubt he will feature at some point in this game. Villa will just want to get that first goal just to thwart any Nottingham Forest momentum that they've been able to gather. Into Riley Priestley. Ellie Brown very busy in the opening 5. Always amazes me how quickly new players, certainly with regards to the National League aspect in England, can get up to the pace of things and just seamlessly integrate themselves and their quality into a division leading team. Only 17 years of age, Ellie Brown, but playing like she has done, been competing at this level for many years. This is the first time I've been able to commentate one of their games this weekend, so I look forward to going back and reviewing their performances against City and Hull yesterday to see her contributions and what impact she was able to make. Certainly if you're assessing the possession and the territory, Nottingham Forest have had it in Villa's half more than Villa have in the Forest half. Can they make it count? Ben Rogers slightly forced that, whether he was playing for the corner ball, not overly sure. There certainly wasn't a gap or a channel for him to exploit. Riley Priestley into Ben Rogers. Whistle blown. It was good play that from Sam Turner. Just putting his chair in a position that prevented Ben Rogers from getting that full rotation, and the free kick was awarded as a result as Ben Rogers attempts an effort on goal. Ellie Brown has to come across to save. Rogers into Naglis Montvillas, but he had positioned well just to ensure it didn't even fire off his chair. As mentioned in game week 1 of the Slater Gordon Championship, Naglis Montvillas coming off the back of Net for Nations Cup campaign with the Republic of Ireland, where he would be incredibly disappointed they weren't able to take one of those valuable World Cup tickets, but it's clear that he's using any frustration bottled up from that tournament to contribute positively for Villa. Such a good player. And as already mentioned, he's not even playing in his favourable position, as Tanvir Hussain is going to feature far earlier than I would have suspected. Excited to see if he can make some positive contributions, as he has done in their 5 or 6 games played so far. Sam Turner, the player coming off. Just trying to understand what is going on. I think there's something loose on Ben Rogers' chair, so prior to us kicking things back off, that will be addressed. Whilst that's on, I can probably show you the live league table, certainly the top 6. You can see Villa will be desperately wanting 2 further points here to go level with Nottinghamshire. As Tanvir Hussain guides it goal bound, and Keane Collins with a deft touch across the face of goal. I don't even know if it necessarily needed it. Tanvir Hussain involved straight away. Yeah, I think Keane Collins could have almost fainted and shaped up to engage it, but Tanvir Hussain's effort was going goal bound. An immediate impact from the substitute, but it's better from Villa, who have struggled to really test Toby Maurice in the 10 minutes played. Pick off from Naglis Montvillas, just seems to be everywhere. Keane Collins with the follow-up effort, good defensive work from Toby Maurice. 2-on-1 in favour of Villa. I think Toby Maurice wasn't quick enough in getting back into his box. No, sorry, it's definitely Finlay Cooper and Riley Priestley. They surrounded Naglis Montvillas. Naglis Montvillas giving Keane Collins the eyes. I suspect it's going to go out to Keane Collins, maybe into his 180, but Riley Priestley over to Tanvir Hussain, who wasn't quite set. A few exchanged passes. It's gone straight through from Naglis Montvillas. No touch from Tanvir Hussain. I'm in a very favourable angle. Just catching Nottingham Forest unaware. They just wasn't able to set. I think they put all their eggs in the Tanvir Hussain basket. And Naglis Montvillas, 11 minutes in, opens the scoring. Fantastic stuff from him. And that will quash any Forest momentum. And now I would suspect we'll see them grow in a little bit more confidence and look to extend this margin even further. Don't underestimate the role that Tanvir Hussain played in that role, just almost like screening the ball. All the while the Forest defenders were anticipating engagement from him. Just left a lovely channel for Montvillas to exploit as Riley Priestley looks to level straight away into Ben Rogers. It ricochets off Naglis Montvillas. Ellie Brown has to save. Such a cool customer. She's made several of those in the game so far. I suspect the same would have been the case yesterday as Naglis Montvillas tries to bully his way past Riley Priestley. Pete Westmoreland and Jeff Lewis just communicating with one another. Deemed too aggressive from Riley Priestley, just told to calm down. I think he acknowledges that and shakes his head in agreement. So direct free kick, Tanvir Hussain surely the option, as he is into Tanvir Hussain, but wasn't able to capitalise. Ben Rogers overcommitted, so the ball was fed out nicely to this channel. I would have liked to have seen the clockwise 180 there from Tanvir Hussain, him to rotate the completely opposite way in which he did, because that would have surely been a shot on goal, a clear goal scoring opportunity. But these are very minor details when you consider the context of his inexperience and the level in which he's played at before. Potential break on with Villa overcommitting, putting Naglis high up the court, and no one was there to fill that central role. They have to be careful of that. Naglis was almost, he reset to factory settings going out wide, and having no one there to fill that void, it gave Forest the opportunity to break, but he readjusts. I don't suspect he will make that mistake twice. Not necessarily even a mistake from Naglis Montvillas, it just needs that communication to know that if he's there, Tanvir Hussain or Keane Collins needs to fill the void. All the way through to Finlay Cooper, who wasn't set in reverse to capitalise, and a ricochet is going to call Toby Maurice into defensive duties. He has two Villa shirts around him as he just pushes it into Riley Priestley's path. I've really liked Toby Maurice back in this National League squad with Nottingham Forest. Don't think he was present for the majority of last season, but he's clearly a very confident defensive anchor. It's Keane Collins, unselfish, back to Naglis Montvillas. It just doesn't necessarily have the accuracy that Montvillas needs. Just needed to be more central or behind his chair even. Again, I hope this doesn't come across as too harsh. They've set such a high bar, Villa Rockets Lions, that anytime there's a deviation or dip below that, it's fairly noticeable. They have very strong aspirations of playing their football in the top flight next season, so these fine margins could be the difference between them securing promotion or falling just short. It's Naglis Montvillas into Keane Collins. Nice pass. Likewise from Keane Collins, that's much better. Montvillas just wasn't set to receive it. You can see the look of frustration on his face. Better from Keane Collins though. Tanvir saying lovely switch of play, needed a crucial touch from Ben Rogers. Can strike a ball so cleanly. Beyond encouraging to see the talent that comes out of regional leagues making a seamless transition to National League level. I think Naglis Montvillas has a slight issue that will need addressing. Worth noting that it is incredibly cold outside today, which does affect the dexterity and the hand functions of many players. Some are very susceptible to the cold, so I think he just needed a readjustment, but he'll be back ready now. Across the court to Tanvir Hussain, is squeezed over the bumper of Ben Rogers. Too high. Right decision from the referee. It just looped over the bumper of Ben Rogers, but firstly the ball from Naglis, as is typically the case, fantastic. Tanvir Hussain in a brilliant area. Set ball will resume play. Just an adjustment needed. Intervention from Jeff Lewis, but Tanvir Hussain will contest alongside Ben Rogers, approaching the half-time break. As mentioned, during that half-time interval we will observe the 2-minute silence for Remembrance Sunday. Good to see Abigail Bolt contributing her coaching expertise. She was absolutely inspirational when it came to West Bromwich Albion and Throssell's performances in game week 1 of the Premiership, not just in terms of her playing ability but her guidance of the squad as head coach. She won the Swizzles Unsung Hero of the weekend, and that reminds me, at the conclusion of game week 2 you'll be able to vote on your Swizzles fantasy team, coach, player, unsung hero. So many different awards and accolades to recognise the top performers in this division. Huge thank you to MK Battery for powering all of our National League streams, graphics, commentary, as Riley Priestley has to drive across Keane Collins. Final minute. Let's have a little check-in on Court A. 0-0 between Manchester United and Nottinghamshire as it pushed over to Tanvir Hussain. So much power that he generates, Tanvir Hussain. It leaves Nottingham Forest trying to go from left to right, right to left at an incredible speed, and this fantastic opportunity to double their advantage. It was how they scored their first goal. Keane Collins, the corner ball taker. There's two options. It's either the front bumper of Naglis Montvillas or through to Tanvir Hussain. Naglis Montvillas was the option on that occasion, but well read and marshalled out by Ben Rogers. Surely the last involvement of the first half. It's a nice position. Goes through to Tanvir Hussain, strikes towards goal. He gets his first goal of the day. He's 10th of the season. That puts him top of the goal scorer chart. What a fantastic goal. What a fantastic player. 2-0. It's not just the striking. It's not the confidence. It's the positional play. Must encourage Brad Bates and Abby Bolt so much to know that He already is such a reliable presence in attack. And to say you have 10 goals already this season in the 8 games you've played bodes very well for the future. On one side, you've got the division's top creator in Cian Collins with 10. On the other, you've got the league's top goal scorer with Tanvir Hussain with 10. They're clearly combining Ben Rogers tries to force his way up the court. They just haven't had any success. First 5 minutes, there was positive signs from Nottingham Forest, but beyond that point, Douglas Montvillas has pulled the strings in the centre, and he's had the reliable presence of Collins and Hussain to capitalise. But it's 2-0 going into the break. Thank you to all that are tuning in. I'll be back very shortly following the half-time break, the 2-minute silence for Remembrance Sunday, and then I'll be back. Beautifully observed 2-minute silence for Remembrance Sunday. And now we are back for the action. Nottingham Forest versus Villa Rockets Lions. A brilliant first half from Villa. We'll be looking for more of the same here in the second. Villa unchanged from the team that finished the first. Slight alteration in the Forest ranks as Pete Westmoreland gets the thumbs up from Toby Maurice and Ellie Brown and kicks proceedings off in the second. So Forest have Toby Maurice, Ben Rogers, Finley Cooper and the recently introduced Gary Meakin. Let's get confirmation of that substitute. Riley Priestley, the player that has come off, and the Villa Lions, Ellie Brown, Nagismont Villas, Tanvir Hussain and Cian Collins. Gary Meakin just trying to vacate that space. I can understand the intention to do so because Ben Rogers was coming down with some real speed and he didn't quite catch the Forest number 26, just halting his advancement as Cian Collins can't quite get connection. If you're just joining us for the first time, goals in the first half from Sam Turner and Tanvir Hussain, sorry, Naglismont Villas and Tanvir Hussain. Naglismont Villas from a set piece. Tanvir Hussain dispatching beautifully. Villas all the way through to Toby Maurice, as was the case with his opener. You can see the Forest players trying to cover the threat of Tanvir Hussain, and in doing so the ball can almost just roll straight through to the Forest goalkeeper as he pushes it goal bound. Needs a Toby Maurice save on the line, but Villa picking up where they left off. High pressure. Into Naglismont Villas, 180 over to Tanvir Hussain, strikes goalbound. My God, I'm not sure it quite translates over the stream, but the power, the connection, the timing of Tanvir Hussain is so impressive. Gary Meakin now set away, just swipes it towards Ellie Brown, but Naglismont Villas comes across the cover. To be careful, both going towards that same ball. This is when Forest are going to have to capitalise because they've been absorbing a lot of pressure in a defensive sense. It's well positioned though. If Ben Rogers can ensure accuracy because of its placement towards the edge of the box, assuming Gary Meakin can vacate that space quick enough, she's unable to do so, there would have been a clear line of sight to Finley Cooper. Now Tanvir Hussain trying to push it down to Cian Collins. Cian Collins. I think if you're looking for areas to improve for Villa, I think the lack of any flexibility in a central sense means they're not as strong as they potentially can be. Mason Hindley not present as Tanvir Hussain strikes goal bound. He is clinical every time he finds himself into them fantastic areas. He seems to either register a shot on target or register a goal. Tanvir Hussain gets his brace. Cian Collins gets his 11th assist of the season. It's almost as if they're matching each other for goals and assists. That'll be an interesting thing to watch across the entirety of the season. But as I was saying, when they're playing like this, the central consideration is almost irrelevant when you've got such proficient wide players, and Naglis Montvillas being such a difficult player to bypass. But add a really good central player and give you the keys to unlock Naglis Montvillas, so it ensures both Cian Collins and Tanvir Hussain are at the highest possible level. If not, one of them will have to settle for a place on the bench. The core of this team, more than good enough to challenge towards the very top of the division. Do they have the quality, the consistency to do that across the entirety of the season, as in terms of a title conversation? We shall see. It's a compelling viewing nonetheless as Naglis Montvillas pushes it. There's no one really there. It's just almost a hit and hope from Ben Rogers, because Finlay Cooper wasn't set. Naglis Montvillas down to Tanvir Hussain. Immediate interception from Finlay Cooper. I'd like to have seen him maybe direct that front bumper towards Ellie Brown rather than this channel. Oh, Gary Meakin was in a lot of space in the centre. Flick towards Naglis Montvillas, just cut out by Gary Meakin. Certainly the strong advancement. 2-on-1 in favour of Villa. Keep an eye on Tanvir Hussain on that left-hand side. Gets possession for his hat-trick. Doesn't have the typical power and accuracy you've come to expect for Hussain. So Ben Rogers able to scoop it up. Into Tanvir Hussain. The Forest defence just switched off there. And Tanvir Hussain has his hat-trick. Wow, what a player. Naglis Montvillas, the provider. It really is remarkable. I know Kieran Wade, who was joint with Tanvir Hussain prior to this game kicking off, is playing on court A. But that one at a stubborn deadlock. So now Tanvir Hussain has a really nice cushion at the top of the goal scorer charts. 12 goals in Villa Lions, 8 games. He will most certainly be in consideration for standout player and the fantasy team of the weekend. It's Ben Rogers. Across the box to Finlay Cooper, he just can't capitalise. That was a fantastic ball from Rogers. It does need Finlay Cooper to do a little bit better. He was facing the wrong way. I'd like to have seen him in reverse there, because he could have only driven onto it and wasn't positioned wide enough to compensate for the angle of the oncoming ball. But it's the brightest chance they've had. I'm sure Lee Brown will be very keen to keep a clean sheet. Tanvir Hussain into Naglis Montvillas. No real direction on that pass from the Republic of Ireland international. Flicked centrally into Keane Collins. Nice reverse pass into his 180. That would have been a really nice goal. Such nice combinations between Montvillas and Keane Collins. Just judging by how Montvillas was shaping up, could have very easily been looking to put it in the channel over to Tanveer Hussain, and had he capitalised, that's a goal of the season contender right there. As Finley Cooper set away, but too close to Ben Rogers. It is frustrating for Forest, certainly when you consider how brilliant they've been in game week 2. But they'll look to reset immediately following this and bounce back against Manchester City. That's always typically a very good game between them two. Ben Rogers was appealing for a foul, but not heard by either Jeff Lewis nor Pete Westmoreland. Pick off from Tanveer Hussain, finds Keane Collins, who strikes towards goal. Put a lot of praise and attention on Tanveer Hussain as the league debutant for 25-26. I think Keane Collins deserves just as much credit. He's obviously moved in the off-season and joined from West Bromwich Albion Baggies, and he just seems to have rediscovered form, consistency, quality that I don't think it's unfair to say he wasn't able to produce week in, week out for them. I'm sure that had something to do with the amount of minutes that he had, and the squad selection being shared by the Baggies squad. He seems to be loving life here with Villa. As Ben Rogers comes off, Gary Meakin now in the centre. Sam Rogers also on. Into Sam Rogers for his first real involvement. 32.5 minutes in. Forest 0, Villa Lions 4. Tanveer Hussain strikes towards goal. Just always hungry for goals. Even with a hat-trick, he wants more. Gary Meakin looking for that front bumper of Finley Cooper, who overcommitted. That slightly forced from Keane Collins. There was no option out on that right-hand wing. Tanveer Hussain would never have been able to get up quick enough, so I would like to have seen him just observe a little bit more patience. Even if Tanveer Hussain had collected, he was facing the wrong way to really capitalise. As the fire exit on the far side is flung open by the sideways swipe of Gary Meakin. Into the box. Cleared initially. Montvillas into Keane Collins, 180, over to Tanveer Hussain. That would have been a really nice goal. Just didn't quite get the connection, which is disappointing for him. There's no real options for Gary Meakin. Strong contact between Gary Meakin and Keane Collins. I love the fact that Pete Westmoreland has allowed that to play. Very much a 50-50 altercation, so That's the beauty of the English game. Gary Meakin communicates with Sam Rogers, but Nicholas Montvillas comes across to restrict that option. There's also a channel to Finley Cooper, but Ellie Brown clears that danger. It's probably the most advanced she's been all game. She pushes the ball down this left-hand wing and quickly retreats back to her familiar position in that Villa box. It's probably a very predictable scoreline on Court A. Nottinghamshire just haven't hit the same heights they did in game week 1, which leads us to a very intriguing fixture later today with Teesside Steel. It's Agnes Montvillas into Kian Collins, just unable to connect. I will say that they don't need to overexert themselves. They've got such a comfortable margin at the moment, but it's not that big a deal. But in the last 5-10 minutes, their connection, their timing, their chemistry in attack hasn't quite hit the same heights as it did in the first half, but that's relatively speaking, of course, and something that I have no question Brad Bates has acknowledged is Tanvi Hussain. Just as I'm talking about that timing, that connection, that chemistry, silences me. 4 goals he now has. Absolutely incredible. And Sam Turner, straight after being introduced, contributes with an assist. So it's Forest 0, Villa Lions 5. Tanvi Hussain on to 13 goals this season. He is having a lot of fun out there, and I hope he serves as the shining example if you're a player tuning in and competing in the regional leagues. What is possible when you take that leap, when you find that right opportunity and that system that can accommodate your skill set. Into Sam Turner in the centre. Does mean Nicholas Montvillas, I think, is shifted out wide with Stephen Tyler coming on in place of Ellie Brown, who did a brilliant job, it must be said. Not a great deal of involvement, but if and when she was called upon, calm, composed, and cutting out all Forest danger. Kian Collins, great spell for him. It goes through to Sam Turner at the back post, looking to get on the score sheet. They really are turning on the style now. Confirmation of those changes. Riley Priestley coming on now in place of Gary Meakin, so it looks as if he'll take that central role, fairly unfamiliar for him. Ricochets kindly to Sam Rogers, who calls Stephen Tyler into defensive duties for the first time. Finley Cooper to take. It's a very stubborn wall. I'm not quite sure how it finds a way through, and it goes off the back of Stephen Tyler's chair. That's how. Corner ball for Forest. A goal would be nothing more than a consolation, but would give them something to take away as a positive. Because it's been a real challenge for them. Just never really had the angle. I'm not quite sure why Finley Cooper opted to engage it that way. He's just out of shot. Montvillas down to the man of the moment, Tanvi Hussain. Looks as if it's going to be back-to-back 5-0 wins for Brad Bates' side. Into the box, Sam Turner clears it. Tanvir Hussain. Tanvir Hussain into the box, trapped by Riley Priestley. Played the regulation time, now into anything that Pete Westmoreland has managed to add up across the fixture. Tanvir Hussain in a nice channel. If he can be located, cut out by Riley Priestley, it needed it. One last breakaway chance for Forest. Montvillas down to Tanvir Hussain, over to Sam Turner, just pushes it with his front bumper, doesn't have the accuracy, and that will signal the end of the game. What a performance from Villa Lions. Tanvir Hussain with 4 goals to complement Naglis Montvillas' opener in the first half. I don't think it's a coincidence that they really started to impress once they had introduced Hussain, the division's now leading top goal scorer with 13 strikes from Villa's 13 games. That also puts them top of the table with a matched goal difference with Nottinghamshire. Incredible stuff. Thank you to all that have tuned in. Join us for follow-up games in Game Week 2 of the 25-26 Slater and Gordon Championship.